Hi there and welcome to the AtheistDominion. My name's Rob and I finally got along to the Logan Hyperdome Cinemas on Monday the 26th of February 2018 to see Gary Bates's film Alien Intrusion. It looked as if the film hasn't picked up a distribution deal yet, as the whole event was organised by a group called FanForce. So maybe the filmmakers are still trying to find a distributor for it, at least here in this country. And the film was pretty well attended. I think the cinema was nearly full, and most of the people in there seemed to be late middle-aged folk. And of course I've previously reviewed Gary's book that the film's based on, and that's on my YouTube channel. You can go and check it out there. So Alien Intrusion is a feature-length documentary written, produced and directed by and starring Gary Bates, so it's definitely his baby, and it was put together via Creation Ministries International. And the documentary itself is pretty straightforward as far as documentaries go. There's a lot of talking heads in it, and there's a lot more talking heads in it. And I mean, that's okay. That's, there's nothing wrong with having talking heads in a documentary. It's a documentary, that's what you have. But it doesn't have to be the only way to get your information across. Look, it's not a criticism per se. It's just an observation that this is the way that Gary constructed his documentary. Ordinary in its an approach. It's not challenging the conventions of documentary feature filmmaking. And there was a sprinkling of spaceship shots, CG shots of varying degrees of craftsmanship, and some of those were quite nice. Some of the animations were good, but by and large it was talking heads and quotes on the screen, and then a lot of Bible quotes. In fact, at one point it felt as if I was reading the script rather than watching the film. One criticism I do have of the film is that there was a lot of repetition on the part of the people being interviewed. They tended to say a lot of the same things, and then they'd cover a certain point, and then 20 minutes later another person would pop up and kind of say the same thing again. And I think the film was too long, and it really could have used a heavier hand in the editing. It was very repetitious, and putting in at nearly 2 hours, I don't know the exact runtime, but it was too long. It did need to be cut down. And in all honesty, it really did feel more like a long YouTube video. It was a rather bland cinematic experience. And I just have to say at this point here, the filmmakers seem to have the attitude that alien abductions and alien visitations is a daily occurrence, as if it's happening all around the world, day after day. And I don't know anyone who's been abducted by aliens. But Gary seems to take all of these accounts at face value. He believes every single one of them, and he quotes polls saying X number of millions of Americans have been abducted or have seen UFOs, and is this really a problem facing society? So anyway, the film spends a huge amount of time trying to convince the audience that space travel is impossible. And right now for us humans it is. We don't have the technology to fly across interstellar space to the other side of the galaxy. We don't have that technology. But that doesn't mean to say we never will have that technology. But the film's attitude is, we don't have it now, it's too hard to solve, so forget it. So you've got to wonder, why are the filmmakers so against the idea of space travel one day in the future? And of course their religious agenda is quickly on show. If they can convince the audience that interstellar travel is impossible, that crosses out aliens from the list of those responsible for these abductees' experiences. Gary's got to get aliens off the list of contenders, and so he grinds space travel into the ground. But not long ago humans couldn't even fly. It's been within the last 100 years that we've developed heavier than air travel. And since then we've sent people to the moon and back. We take flight as a normal everyday occurrence. and that's just in 100 years. Think about, like for example, an Ice Age hunter-gatherer. The concept of a nuclear reactor, to him, that would be magic. Give humanity time and determination, and we can achieve virtually everything, and that's a very humanist point of view. Now, of course, Gary Bates is not a humanist. He's a biblical creationist. He holds humanity in very low regard. We can't do anything without God. And right alongside him is his old pal, Jonathan Sarfati. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. And Jonathan says something along the lines of, well, his attitude is that in the film, Jonathan's attitude is, space travel will never happen. Don't even think about it. Don't dream it'll happen one day. Put it out of your mind. It's impossible. Defeatist attitude the creationists have is completely at odds with what humankind is capable of and has already achieved in such a short space of time. And then the film takes a few jabs at evolution, of course, the young earth creationists, and evolution is the great evil to them. But the film didn't really go too far into ridiculing or trying to debunk evolutionary science. Gary's book went much deeper. Of course, it's a book, there's more time to explore things like that, but I would have thought that being young earth creationists, they would have had a bigger go at knocking down evolution. So that was interesting. But in true creationist form, Jonathan Sarfati did give us the old creationist trope that evolution was deliberately set up solely to deny God. It's nothing more than a paranoid conspiracy theory and carries no weight whatsoever. And I'm surprised it was put into the film. Once dismissing evolution and space travel, the film gets down to what it's really about, and that is making us believe that alien abductions are better explained as the result of demonic visitation. And there's some weird irony at work here, because Gary Bates keeps telling us ad infinitum how much he loves the genre of science fiction. But then he turns around and says that, well, science fiction is an open door to allow evil demons into your life. That and Ouija boards. So if Gary loves sci-fi so much, why does he try to make us think that if you like sci-fi, well, you're opening that door to demons coming into your life? It's a weird contradiction there. Maybe Gary, to save himself, should just stop watching Star Trek. And then the film gets into interviewing in earnest and listening to the tales of alien abductees. And there's a small group that are featured in the film, and certainly their stories are harrowing. But none of this is testable because it's just their own personal stories. You can't quantify this stuff. You can't analyze it in a scientific way. We're dealing with the spiritual realm now. You either believe it or you don't. There's no other way about it. You either believe these people were abducted and tormented by spirits and demons, or you don't. Now, Gary, of course, does believe all this. He takes all their stories at face value, and his best mates at the CE4 research group have succeeded, it seems, at least in terms of this film, in making some of these abductees believe that they were, in fact, harassed and tormented by demons, not aliens. And this is where I feel the film is taking some dangerous steps, because these people do seem to be traumatized by their experiences, but Gary is just substituting aliens for demon interaction. Substituting one terrifying cause for another terrifying cause doesn't seem to be the answer. What if these people are suffering some sort of mental illness or emotional imbalance in their lives. Maybe there's something far deeper that hasn't been worked out that's manifesting itself in these abduction. I don't want to use the word fantasies because maybe they were abducted by aliens. I don't know. But what if it wasn't anything to do with aliens or demonic possession? What if it was just that these people are suffering some sort of emotional problem? Maybe they should be getting professional medical help. And I think that Gary is just leading them down another path towards more trauma. Possibly. So to sum up the film, Gary has decided that space travel is an impossibility because it has to be an impossibility for his conclusions to work. Science will, and time will no doubt prove Gary wrong. And secondly, because Gary is a young earth creationist, he is fanatically anti-evolution. So he doesn't believe that life evolved on this planet, therefore evolution couldn't happen on other planets, therefore again aliens can't exist. This is his creationist agenda and his religious fundamentalism showing. It's no great achievement of cinematic documentary storytelling. It's like I said, it's kind of a long YouTube video. It puts forward its ideas clearly, if a bit repetitively. It's too long. The conclusions are all foregone. Gary is a young earth creationist, and though he says that he followed the evidence to see where it would lead, it always, of course, would lead back to the Bible. It can't lead anywhere else. And if you're a creationist, I'm sure the film is wonderful. Is the film any good? Well, yeah, to that lot, yeah. I'm sure it's the best thing they've seen in years. Certainly when I was in the audience and hearing these amens at certain points in the film being said by the audience, I thought, wow, this is a very receptive audience. But to the vast majority of humanity across the world, this really is just going to come across as an overlong conspiracy theory full of unprovable tales and unprovable conclusions. It's just another addition to the ever-growing realm of conspiracy theories and ufologists and people trying to debunk this and that. It's a fringe topic, and it will remain a fringe topic because it can't be proved. And it's something of a thankless task reviewing a film like this because it's made by creationists, and I know from personal experience that creationists do not like to be criticized, not in any way. Their attitude is, if you criticize us, it means you're attacking God. And since God is perfect, it means the fault is with you. Creationists take every little bit of criticism directed at them as a personal attack on their religious beliefs. And it does seem that the days are long gone of simple Christian love and turn the other cheek. Creationism, young earth creationism, is a very vitriolic Christian sect, and they have no hesitation in deriding and ridiculing and name-calling and generally being very unpleasant to those who don't agree with their beliefs. So that's my review of the film. I'm glad I saw it. It wasn't a surprise what was in it. It was a retelling of the book, and it's just another piece of creationist propaganda. But well done them for getting the film made and getting it out there, and we'll see how it plays if it gets a distribution deal. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again next time.